Hi, I'm Shoestring Jane. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things thrifty, frugal and sustainable. And today I was just going to talk about compromise because it's something I've been thinking a lot about this week, about how I aim for certain actions but frequently have to compromise because of cost or time or availability or various factors that come into the choices that I can make versus the choices I would prefer to make. And I'm sure you all feel the same. Life is really just one big compromise, isn't it? So the first thing that made me think about it was because I've been thinking a lot about Amazon, and I know a lot of people don't like Amazon. And to be honest with you, I don't either. I don't use Amazon anymore to make any purchases. I used to a lot. We do still have Amazon Prime. That's Justin's choice. He has that. He uses Amazon Prime, and we have the app to watch things on the TV, although we rarely do. I keep saying to him, just cancel it because we don't need it. And why do we need to line Jeff Bezos, how we pronounce his name, him? Why do we need to line his pockets anymore when he is an example of one of those multi-billionaires that earns lots of money, doesn't pay taxes, treats his employees really badly and those kind of things. So, but my compromise is that was the easiest self-publishing platform for me when I came to publish my book. So I had written it, and like lots of people, I did submit it to some independent publishers and never heard anything back, like many other people that write books. So, it's really good that you can self-publish. And I must admit to not having done any research at the time into other platforms. I knew other bloggers who had published books through Amazon, and it seemed just the obvious place to do it. I had a friend who said he would help me to go through the process, so I just did it at that point. I wasn't boycotting Amazon or anything then. Now I feel like I would like to boycott Amazon, but I've got this situation where I've got money coming in on Amazon, so it feels really hypocritical, and I don't really know at this point how to get around that. I will just give myself a little shameless plug. This is my book, Extreme Frugality, Save Money Like Your Grandma. I would love to find another way of publishing this, and I have been looking into that, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So I would like, it would probably still be available on Amazon, but it would be nice to be able to have availability elsewhere as well. So as I say, I'm looking into that. So it feels like that's a kind of big compromise to start with. And then there are things like running ads on YouTube. I run ads on YouTube because it's one of my streams of income. I don't earn very much from it. I don't earn very much from any of my streams of income, but they add up to something that's worth having, and they mean that I don't have to go and do the kind of work that I used to do, which I absolutely hated, for not very much money. And I'm not sure anyone would give me a job doing that anyway. Now I'm 62 now. We live in quite an ageist society, so people look at your CV when you're 62 and go, don't think so. And I'm not bothered. I don't want to go to an office. I don't want to be restricted to the 9 to 5 at this point. I don't need to be. I can get by doing what I'm doing. So that is not a compromise that I'm willing to make at this point. That is something I don't need to compromise on. However, going back to the ads thing, I do run ads. YouTube, it seems like, I was watching Colette at Built in a Cottage. I don't know if you watch that. It's really interesting. It's a lovely channel. But she never used to run ads at all, and it was lovely. But then she was getting a lot of pressure. She said in one of her videos, she felt that her videos were being hidden by YouTube and punished. She was being punished for not running the adverts. So and I know other people as well who have not wanted to run adverts, and YouTube have run them anyway because they weren't actually eligible to earn any money from adverts yet. So they were like newbie to YouTube, and YouTube were running them anyway. So they were making money from the adverts, and their creator wasn't eligible to do so yet. So there's those kind of things. But Colette finally decided she would, she would get some money from her ads. So she's decided to run ads. And you used to be able to place them at certain points. I found it really difficult. I must admit to have been really lazy about this. I just let the ads run wherever they landed. but it's quite irritating, isn't it? If somebody's in the middle of a sentence and an ad comes up, and you're much less likely to sit and look at the ad and watch it if it's something, you know, that you're just wanting to get back to the topic in point being discussed. So I know it's irritating. I find it irritating when I watch other people's videos, although I tend to let at least some of them run, because I know that that's how people who create videos on YouTube get paid. And I would say that, you know, think about that. If you want to give your favourite YouTubers a little bit of support, do watch the adverts. Go and put the kettle on, go to the loo, whatever. Do what you do when the adverts come on ITV when you're watching the telly, you know, go do something else for a minute. So I do try to do that. Don't do it all the time, as I say, because sometimes it's really irritating and you want to get back to the subject. So, but that's a compromise, isn't it? Because I want to make a little bit of money out of YouTube. And so in order to do that, I have to run adverts. But then at the same time, I'm saying to people, don't buy too much rubbish. And then adverts are running throughout the videos that are trying to sell you things, probably things you don't want or don't need and maybe even can't afford. So there's that kind of compromise again. And the same thing with my blog. I wrote my blog, shoestringcottage.com, for a long time, just as a hobby, really a long time. It was about 4 or 5 years. And then I thought, again, you know, I'm putting a lot of time into this blog, and I knew that I was looking for a way out, working for the council that I was doing then. And I knew other bloggers that were making good money from their blogs. And I thought, I'm going to try and get some adverts, like good adverts, because I mean, on YouTube, you run Google AdSense adverts and they literally pay peanuts. They pay nothing. And that was the option for my blog. And I did try that for a bit, didn't really make any money. And then I went with a company called Mediavine, who actually do pay decent money. And bloggers are having quite a hard time at the moment, really, because Google have changed all their algorithm, and it's the first thing you see when you search something is often an AI summary, and people will read that and get the information they want. And actually that's been scooped up from various blogs and websites and plagiarized really by the AI bots. So, and a lot of the time then the traffic doesn't go to the websites and the bloggers who have created that content in the first place, which I think is really bad. When you think about that, that is really bad, isn't it? So I don't give my blog perhaps the time and attention it deserves. I try to do a post a week, and there is a lot of stuff over there if you do want to have a little look at it, shoestringcottage.com, because I've been doing it for probably, it's got to be, I mean, I'm not on this site because I did change the site address when I decided to monetize it, because you had to have it on a .com or a .co.uk website, and it was previously on a free WordPress blog. So I think I've been on there altogether about 15 years, but probably only in its current form for about 9 or 10 years. So it's another compromise, because I do run the adverts, as I say. And when I first started doing it, a lot of people got really cross and some people just left. And I used to get a lot of traffic from another really well-known blogger who I don't feel inclined to mention, actually, because I thought we had a bit of a relationship. We used to have little chats and things. And when I started running adverts, she was very much on her high horse about how you shouldn't run adverts on your site. And I was thinking, well, that's okay for you if you can afford to do it, if you've got the money and if you've got a wage coming in or whatever. I literally wouldn't have had any wage coming in once I'd given up my work. So I needed to create some money. So that's why I wanted to do it. And I thought, well, you know, nobody expects anybody else to do lots of work. You don't expect a magazine to write lots of articles, take photographs, research things, run competitions and that sort of thing, and not get paid for it, do you? You don't expect the journalists not to get paid. It's the same with the bloggers. So I felt like, well, that's a way for me to get paid. And I used to do the odd little bit of sponsored content as well. I still do very occasionally, but I don't really push it that much. So it's another compromise, as I say. These are things that I would rather not run adverts on any of those things. And if I was in a position to not need the money, then I wouldn't. So, and if I can get this sorted out, if I can get a book publishing deal, which is very unlikely because we all want one of those, or if I could just find another way of doing my book, then I'll try and make it available so it's not just through Amazon. But we are where we are at the moment. And I went shopping in Lidl yesterday, and found that I do a lot of plastic-free shopping in Lidl now. There's certain things I know that I can buy and really avoid over packaging and plastic. So a lot of the time I am doing that because that's what I would like to do in my life, reduce plastic really to the minimum. And I've reduced it a lot, I'm quite pleased. But again, it's another compromise because there's only so much you can buy in a supermarket that's loose, and you do have to pay a bit more for it. But I do find I can buy things like potatoes I can get. They do lovely big peppers in there at the moment that are loose. Usually they do lovely big tomatoes loose as well, but they didn't have any of those, so I had to buy them wrapped in plastic packaging, which was a bit annoying. And they do various things. Broccoli is always wrapped in plastic, so I think I try to buy the organic. So I think, well, at least it's the lesser of two evils. I try to look at where things are grown and buy them as close to the UK, or preferably in the UK or Europe rather than New Zealand, for example, which is a long way away, a lot of food miles if it comes from somewhere like New Zealand. So I try to do things like that. Can't always do that. I cannot always find what I want that's either local to me or, not wrapped in plastic or not over packaged. It's really, really difficult when you go to the supermarket. I'm sure you have the same problem. I'd also like to buy everything organic, everything. I try to buy odd little bits organic, as I said, the broccoli, and I buy organic eggs because I think their welfare standards are actually much higher than so-called free range, which if you look at what free range is in regards to supermarket eggs, isn't really much better than battery farmed eggs. So I would love to do that, but I can't do that. So I have looked at box schemes, but to be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot in a box scheme that I can't eat. So it's not that I've got allergies, but I do have IBS. So there's certain things that really aggravate that. And there's no point in me buying an organic veg box because too much of it would get wasted, or Justin would try and eat it all himself and it would be ridiculous. It wouldn't really help at all. So growing some of our own food is a compromise towards that because we won't use any chemicals on that. So that will all be organic and hopefully give us a bit of fresh air and exercise at the same time whilst we're doing it, and save us a bit of money. So that's something we can do to kind of mitigate the fact that we can't buy all organic food. And, I pop into our refill shop every now and then. I can buy some things in our refill shop, some things I just can't afford. So, I don't always use it for everything. I know that I can use it for things like personal care products. It's quite good. Hand and body lotion and shampoo and conditioner, things like that. I can buy stuff like that, but I can't buy all of the dried goods. I bought some, I think it was some sultanas, and they were so expensive. I thought these are very delicious and organic and everything, but there's no way I could spend this much on sultanas or, everything that I want to buy all their rice and everything pasta there, because I just wouldn't be able to afford to feed us if I did that. So it's not something that unfortunately I can do, and I have to compromise. And I have to do things like think about energy conservation and doing things like wearing layers and turning the thermostat down and making sure the lights are going out if we're not in a room, not heating all the rooms if we're not sitting in them, sitting with piles of throws on ourselves and a heated blanket if we're cold rather than immediately putting the heating on, doing some measures to kind of block drafts and things. I have to do that because I cannot afford what I'd like to do, which is to cover the roof in solar panels so that we could be self-sufficient at least some of the time in electricity, have a wood burner again, which we haven't even got a chimney here, so that would be very expensive as well. Maybe look at heat pumps and that kind of thing. I would like to do things like that cost a lot of money to make the house more eco-friendly, but you have to compromise where you can. So I'll do things like have thick curtains to make sure the curtains are lined, and as I say, just keeping warm by wearing layers. And I do find when I do put the heating on, I don't want it on for long because I'm so not used to sitting in a hot house that I just want to turn it off really quickly. And I go to other people's houses. I go to my mum's flat, which has storage heaters, so it blasts out heat all day until about 3 o'clock, and then it gets really cold when you need it in the evening. Storage heaters really are a stupid invention, but hers actually is not bad. It's not bad. It's quite a modern flat, so it does stay warm longer. Whereas my daughter's in that kind of situation in her rented flat, and it's completely freezing by the evening. So if I go to hers in the morning or I go to mum's in the morning, I find it's just too hot. I'm stripping off. So, because I'm not used to sitting in a very warm house. I know some people, they have the heating on all the time, all winter, and you get used to a certain level of warmth, don't you? But I actually dislike it now. So, but going back to my original point, yes, I would love to have all of those amazing eco-friendly measures and retrofit the house to make it super energy efficient and make it self-sufficient in energy as much as possible. But it's not really going to happen anytime soon unless I come into some money, and then I will if I suddenly inherit 10 grand or something like that. Solar panels on the roof. But in the meantime, I just have to compromise. It's the same with clothing with me. You know, I love to buy all brand new organic cotton clothing and fabulous leather footwear that's going to last me forever, and buy top quality and buy less of it. And actually I'm trying to do that, but I can't always afford to do that when I need things. So I buy second hand, and that is my compromise. And sometimes I buy second hand. I look for better fabrics if I can, but sometimes I buy second hand fast fashion because that's what's available and that's what I need at that moment. I try to buy better fabrics, as I say, but there's a lot of plastic clothing about, so some of it's all right, some of it's nice, and I do wear some of it, but less and less. So all we can do really is just the best we can, can't we? And there will be lots of compromises in all areas of our lives. It would be easy just to give up really and just think, well, I can't be as eco-friendly and sustainable as I would like, and I can't, it's just too much, it's too difficult, so I'm not going to try. And I think that's a lot of people like that. They just kind of bury their head and think, well, they have an idea. If you ask them if they would like to be more sustainable, they say yes. And if you ask them, you know, would you like to buy all organic food, they'll say yes. But don't kind of take any steps because it seems too big. It's the same with, you know, budgeting, isn't it? And being thrifty. Sometimes it feels that money's so tight, you feel like you can't make any difference, and, you know, you can bury your head and get into debt and that kind of thing, rather than thinking, well, what can I do? So it's just doing some things, and sometimes that does involve making some compromises and some hard decisions. So that's really where I'm at. Anyway, I am going to go to the charity shops to see what amazing bargains I can find. I've got to do some post. I'm going to unpack that in a second. And then I'll come back and show you what I've got. So I'm just in my untidy garage, as usual. You're never going to see it tidy, are you? Let's face it. Packing up a couple of parcels that I've sold. My eBay sales have absolutely tanked the last month. I don't know why. I did really well in January. Okay, at the beginning of February, and just since then it's just been terrible. And so this week I have sold 3 things, so not so good. So anyway, I'm packing up 2 of them, and I just thought I would show you, you know, how much of a compromise my packaging can be sometimes. So I do, as much as possible, try to reuse things. So if you can see behind me, you'll see there's a big pile of boxes which are either given by the neighbours or family, or I've actually pulled them off people's recycling piles. I do that. I go around with Archie in the evening, and if there's boxes just sitting there that haven't been kind of bent up and I can see the size and shape of them and they're good, like particularly these Gusto boxes and Hello Fresh, they seem to be just the right size for me. I pick them up and just take them. People don't care, do they? But I've also bought just some of this because I use a lot of bubble wrap. That's what I'm saying about compromise. I sell a lot of breakables, and I have to protect the breakables, and I try to reuse bubble wrap, but I don't get given a lot of bubble wrap by neighbours and things. I get paper. I've got newspapers from Justin's brother. I use those as much as possible. Sometimes you do need something to protect your very delicate items a bit more. So I'm trying this corrugated card. I've bought 2 rolls of this. It does work out more expensive than bubble wrap, but sometimes you've got to put your money where your mouth is. I'm giving it a try, and I've just packed, I'll show you, put that bit back there so I don't lose it. I'll just turn the camera around. I've just packed a couple of mugs. I did have a box that 2 mugs came in. Oh, sorry, I had a box that 2 mugs came in that I bought at the charity shop, so for myself. So I reused that box, and then I've used the corrugated cardboard around the other 2 mugs because there were 4 altogether, and I'm obviously reusing an Amazon box, and I am using some of Jonathan's old newspapers to pad it out. And so that's actually a good box, because I have still used a bit of bubble wrap, plastic bubble wrap. They were actually packed in that to store, because I found that if I try to store things without protecting them in some way, they get damaged. You know, I'm rooting through a box trying to find one thing. I've got lots of things in boxes. I'm rooting through trying to find one thing, and you know, some other things get damaged. So I don't want to wrap them. I know other people wrap them in that kind of cling film stuff, but I don't want to do that because that's yet more plastic. So I figured that if I'm going to wrap them in anything, it may as well be bubble wrap. However, as much as I can, I'm going to put them in the corrugated card. It's not always going to work, depends on the shape of the item, and you know, it doesn't have that flexibility. But things like teapots, that's a teapot there. You know, I'm always worried about teapots. They're quite difficult to ship without bits getting broken off, because they have a spout and a handle. So they have anything you've got something sticking out is more at risk of breaking. So, but that would be quite good in corrugated card. And then obviously I'm going to have to label it, and it won't be so easy to find things. But then I might have to think about how I file, a better way of filing things. So maybe rather than putting everything just in boxes, things like, I don't know, big, larger items they need to put on shelving in their own right. So I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. I'm thinking aloud, really. Anyway, going to get these 2 parcels done. I've done the other one, and get them to the parcel shop. So back in position. I'm really thirsty. I'm really dehydrated today. It's not as lovely and warm today as it has been the last couple of days. I did get the washing out though, because I should have done my washing, put it out yesterday, which was boiling, and it would have dried no problem. And I looked, and it's going to break tomorrow, and we're going to get rain, and it's clouded over already. So I thought, well, I can get it mostly dry, so it's out there. Anyway, let me show you what I bought. The traffic here today was absolutely hideous. And so, yeah, I was going to go to the refill shop. Didn't go to the refill shop because I just couldn't get there. I got so stressed trying to navigate the traffic that I gave up in the end and just did the charity shops. And I only did 3. Let me show you what I've got. There's a few nice things, nothing that is going to make my fortune. And the reason I'm going to the charity shops is mostly to sell on. So I sell on eBay mostly. I'm looking at Vintage Pro. I've been looking at Vintage Pro for the longest time. And the reason that I didn't do it initially was because there was a lot of negative feedback from other resellers that I'd seen, that there were some teething problems, I think, but they seem to have been resolved now. So I thought, right, today I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy loads of clothing. I'm going to open a Vintage Pro account, and I'm going to start listing it. Didn't find anything, not a single item of clothing. So didn't do that. Bought a few things for myself. I think I mentioned in my last video that Justin bought me for my birthday, an early birthday present, an old vintage CD player, and it's brilliant. I'm really so enjoying listening to all my old music on it. So I thought, I'm looking out for good CDs. I bought the Killers for 50p. Hopefully that looks really in good condition inside as well. Hopefully that's a good one. I'll be listening to that later. I had to be careful with this because they didn't have anything to wrap my breakables in this charity shop, so I kind of wrapped it in my own things. I bought this, again, these are for me. They're glass with plastic lids, and they charged me £2, I think, for these. And there are 4 or 5 of them, I think. Yeah, 5 of them. Glass, and I have some with silicone lids that I got from the Co-op. Do you remember the Co-op? If you're in the UK, a few years ago, one of their offers was you could collect vouchers every time you shopped, and then you got money off these very useful big, they were Pyrex actually, so you could put them in the oven, so you could make something, stick it in the freezer, put it in the oven, whatever. These I don't think are like that, and they had lids, and I use them all the time, the ones that are left. Unfortunately the lids are going a bit now, but this, I thought, when I saw this, I thought, oh, these are brilliant. I am often short of little containers to put things in, so especially as I'm avoiding plastic so much. When I went to the refill, my plan was to go to the refill shop, I was really scurrying around looking for plastic containers that I could take with me, and I could barely find any. I found 2, and I took 2 jam jars. I put 2 jam jars in. I'll probably do that tomorrow now because Saturday's a better day. But these are really good for just things like, you know, if I make salad and I've got some leftover salad or any kind of leftovers, I'm going to stick them in the fridge. Really good for that kind of thing. So yeah, pleased with those. And they were £2, as I say. And this, it went in this little cute bag. I used this little knitted bag as a way of stopping this getting broken. Oh, I can't get it out of the bag now. It's just a cake plate. It's very dusty, but it's Royal Albert cake plate. And they did charge me a bit for that. They charged me £4. And I've got another plate, a really lovely plate actually, which I've listed that had a hole in it without this. And I looked at this and thought, these must be easily available. I'm going to try and buy one for the other one because that's a nice little plate, isn't it? And so it's Prince Albert, which is quite expensive. So I did pay £4 for that. I don't know if I overpaid. I find that the charity shops are so hit and miss. Sometimes I just have to get started, really. This, I'm sure I've got another little thing in here. This is just for me here. It's just a little bowl with roses in it. I can either use that as a soap dish because I think I've probably got enough soap dishes. Last night I had my book group round and I didn't have enough little dishes for olives and nuts, so actually it could be for that. So that's also for me, and that cost me 50p, 50 whole pence. The other thing I got in this particular shop, and this shop is the one I normally find lots of clothing. Didn't find a single thing. They have put their prices up, which doesn't help, but also the quality of the clothing in the first place is so rubbish that, you know, finding it in better quality later is not going to happen. But I bought this because I thought it was very cute and it looks homemade. It says when the going gets tough, the tough goes shopping. And it's just a really nice little bag. I thought that would be a vintage thing if I got my Vintage Pro up and running, but obviously I haven't done that yet. But I thought it was a really nice little cute sort of knitted bag. I don't know if it is homemade, but I think it is. It looks it. I like it. I think it's cute. I don't think you could put a lot in there though as a shopping bag because it's not actually that strong. But yes, so one thing to sell, more than one thing. This is to keep. Kind of look like I've just gone out to buy stuff for my shop, and literally it's all for me. It's just another gin glass. I've got one gin glass that cost me £1 that I bought maybe 6 months ago, and I use it all the time. But if anybody else is here and they also would like a gin and tonic, I don't have another fancy glass. So I saw that again. I think that was either 50p or £1. I'm not sure what he charged me for that, but it was quite cute. Right, this is not for me now, so I'm moving on to things that are not for me. I went into one shop and literally this is the only thing I could find, so I bought it. It says Grey Shop Pottery England. I don't know if there's anything special. It looks quite vintage though, doesn't it? It's just a really nice flan dish, so I thought I'd get that for £1. That was worth it, wasn't it? Sorry about my head bopping up and down. Let's have a look here. Oh no, there's another thing that might be for us. I bought these for Justin because they were £8, but they're really lovely quality boots in his size. Whether he'll like them or not, I don't know. But I think they're really nice and they're in his size. So I grabbed them and they are Riker. They're Riker boots, which is really good make. If he doesn't like them, I'll just sell them. So it's fine. It won't be a big problem, but I thought, well, they're really nice. So hopefully, look at the soles. They look like they've hardly been worn at all. So, and they would have been quite expensive, I think. So another thing that might be for selling, but probably won't be. I don't know. It depends if he likes them. This I thought, oh, this is nice. I could wear this with jeans. Stop it, Jane. It's not all for you. It is a white stuff, really nice quality cotton dress with quite a nice print and pockets. Who doesn't love a dress with pockets? Go away, fly. This fly's been buzzing around the house for about 2 days now. Keep hoping my fly catcher plant is going to get it, but it's not so far. I think that's actually really nice. How much did I pay for that? It was a little bit more than I wanted to pay. It was more than I should have paid. It was £6. I don't know how much I'll get for that, but hopefully a little bit of a profit. I lied when I said I didn't get any clothing, but I've got very little clothing. Oh, this is my coffee cup, which I didn't use. Took it out with me, didn't use it. And then I thought these were just lovely. Now, I don't know if these are vintage, but they're vintage style. And they're floral prints. Cottage garden bouquet. Art marketing made in England. It's an 01 telephone number. So probably not vintage. But they're vintage style, as I say, and I think they're really nice. There's 3 of them. And I paid £2 each for them. I just think they're really lovely. I mean, I think they're lovely to the point where they might not actually make it out of the house, because I like this sort of vintage style. We'll see. If I get them listed really quickly before I can decide to keep them and put them somewhere. Okay, this was a bag full of things that I'm going to break if I'm not very careful. This was actually the first charity shop that I went into. How cute is that? I thought it was quite cute. It's Royal Stafford bone china, made in England, so it's vintage. It's just a little, I mean, you wouldn't use it as a jug, would you? It's literally just for putting posies in, I think, little posy vase, I would say. But I thought that is very, very cute. It's very kind of Beatrix Potter-esque, although it's not Beatrix Potter. But I just thought it was very cute. They charged me £8 for everything I'm about to show you. So it was pretty cheap. This is, again, I didn't think this was vintage, and it's not vintage, but it's vintage style. And it's a perfume. Oh, it smells of perfume. It's a perfume bottle for your dressing table. And I thought it was, it's had something nice in it. I thought it was quite nice. And then I looked underneath, and it's The Chateau by Angel Strawbridge. Not seen anything by her. Doubt it's worth a massive amount, but I did think that was worth putting in my shop. So I got that one. I'm going to run out of places to put things, aren't I? I didn't know very much really today, considering how much time I sat around in the traffic. These are just some little coasters, Pimpernel coasters. I don't know if there should be 4. I think there may be, because it doesn't look like there's room for 6. It looks like there's room for maybe 5, but you'd only have 4 or 6, wouldn't you? And this is it's a Pimpernel, and it's the Royal Horticultural Society designs, Flora Japonica. And they're little floral, vintagey looking floral scenes. I think they're quite nice. RHS collection. I don't know if they are still up and running, Pimpernel. Normally when I pick them up, they are vintage. But the fact it's RHS might suggest that they're not very vintage. They're still in their box, a bit dusty again. I don't think there's a massive value on these things. I just wanted to have some things to list, because the more I list, the more I sell, theoretically, even though I said before that my sales have tanked. They literally has. This is a Laura Ashley photo frame. I didn't normally buy photo frames, but I thought, I know this place is cheap. It's Laura Ashley. It's rather pretty. It's got these lovely roses on it. And I bet that would have been quite expensive to start with. So I got that one. I don't know where to put anything without breaking it. Let's do this one next. I'll try not to break this one. This was very, very nice. First of all, I thought, it might be Port Miriam, but it's not. It's not. It's St Michael, which is M&S. Ashberry. I think I've had this design before, or I might still have something. Ashberry. So it's a tureen or a serving dish. It's not going to be worth a lot. But I thought this is in lovely condition. It's really nice colours, so I picked that up. And then my last thing from that shop is this. And again, I nearly put this down and thought, I don't know, because I knew that, as I say, they've got all of those things for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things from that shop. Oh no, yeah, I'm a bit confused now. They charged me £8, which was not bad. And this is a little, I don't know if it's a cookie jar, because actually you can't get many cookies in it. It's not much of a jar at the bottom, or it's just a kind of ornament. It's very dirty. But it's Winnie the Pooh, as you can see. And the thing that made me pick it up was what's on the bottom, which says, copyright the Walt Disney Company 1987. So I assume that means that that's vintage from 1987. He's got, okay, maybe it's a honey pot. Maybe you put your whole jar of honey in there. I don't know, what do you think? Let me know what you think this is for. You think it might be honey? You could do that, couldn't you? You could have honey in the bottom, but I wouldn't want to just have it in there. So yeah, it needs a good wash. Most everything from that shop needs a good wash actually, but that's something I'll do in a minute. So that's everything that I picked up. Couldn't find any good quality clothing. Some of the things I bought, they're not the things that I would have really liked. I would have liked to see some different things, some slightly more valuable things, or things that are going to resell more quickly. But having said that, I think there is a profit in everything that I've bought to resell. So definitely in those boots if Justin doesn't want them, because I found that Riker boots go, or shoes even, go really well. Anyway, that's my last couple of days. I seem to have spent quite a bit of money doing various bits of shopping, but yeah, I just thought I'd share my thoughts, really. Just have a little chin wag with you, show you what I'd bought, and just give you a general bit of an update, really. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do give me the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Thank you very much for watching. If you've watched all the way to the end, thanks very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.